Alright, so hello everybody. My name is Lars, and today I will show you how to use the YouTube API. Therefore, I have the following points on my table of contents. So first, I will start to give you some useful links and how to set up the API. After that, we will directly dive in and perform a YouTube search, get some account infos, calculate the duration of a playlist, try to get some video comments, and what I think is very important and most interesting, get some subtitles of a YouTube video. And in the end, I also provided a small use case. All right, so let's directly start. Like I said, I will start with some useful links. So whenever you're using a library or an API, the documentation should be the first point to start. I provided two documentations. The first one is directly from Google, the other one is from GitHub. So they are both pretty helpful, but I think the one from Google or from YouTube directly is even a little bit better. So on the left-hand side, you can see all the different resources we have in the YouTube API. Um, um, and if you click on one resource, for example, you also can see different methods, but I don't want to go too much into detail on that for now because I will explain it later a little bit deeper. Then, like I said, the same is also, or a similar documentation is provided here from GitHub, where you basically have the same methods or the instant methods like you had here on the left-hand side. And when you click on them, you also have the different commands. So that's basically it. And then there is also on GitHub a nice guide, I would like to say, where you can read everything up again. And especially the getting started part is probably quite interesting because they really describe step by step how to set up the API. But hopefully, if you watch my video, you don't need the getting started website here. All right, so I will close it for now. Let's start with setting up the API. So to get an API key, you have to go to the API dashboard over here. So you can just click on the link and you will get to the Google Cloud Platform. And on the Google Cloud Platform, you have to first create a new project. I'm not quite sure whether it will look the same for you if you have never created a project, just create a new project. For me, it's right here. Create a new project and give it a name. I will just call it YouTube API right here and create it. And once you've created this project, you should be in there. Okay, it's still creating. All right, let's switch to this project. And then you have to go to API and services, and then you're directly in the dashboard section. And in here, you can click on here, enable APIs and services. So now you can basically search for all available APIs provided by Google. And since we are interested in the YouTube API, I will just put on YouTube. I spelled it wrong, but they found it anyway. And we're interested in the YouTube Data API v3. So we will click on here and enable it. So this probably takes a little bit, but once it's loaded, we can continue. All right, so now you can see that the API is enabled. And before we get our API key, we also have to create those API keys, basically. So we click here on Create Credentials. And now we have to select the API which we want to get again. So we select YouTube API version 3, and we want to access this for public data. So we click Next here. And then we have our API key here created. So I will directly delete my API key after I uploaded this video. So just go and get your own API key. So you can copy it here, click Done. And now in the dashboard, you can always go back here and copy it again. So if you lost it, it's no problem. So with this API key, we can now directly start. So first I will import some libraries here. So most of them should be known to you. And before you can access the API, you have to install the Google API Python client. Since I already did that, I won't do it here again, but the code is right there, so you can just go and execute it. Okay, from this library, you then import the build function. So, and with this build function, you can basically create the services, so which access the API from Google. So I will call this service in here YouTube, and I use the build function. And it takes two parameters for sure. So this one is the service parameter, and this one is the version parameter. And then there's also the developer key, and this developer key is just the API key which we created before. So I will paste it here, and therefore we have set up our API. And now everything should work. We will try that in a second. To start with, I want to perform a simple YouTube search. So this one is basically just the same as when you go to YouTube and put something in and search for it. But before we start with this, I want to show you how the resources of this API actually work and how the methods work. So therefore, we go back to the documentation of Google because I think it's a little bit more convenient. So as we want to perform a search, we will click here on the search resource and first get an overview. I think this is really important, as you can see the output which this method will give you. So right here you can see what it will return. For example, kind, tag, ID, and this ID again contains a video ID or a channel ID, a snippet. So these are all parts which you can call. And we call this by using this list method, and it basically returns a collection of search results that match the query parameters. So by clicking on the list, we will get a better overview. So there are some parameters that are required. This is, in this case, this is a part parameter. And in this parameter, we can input basically what we want to have. So when going back to our output, we could, for example, put in the snippet and the idea, and the kind and tag, they are always presented. So but there are also more parameters that could be very helpful. For example, the max results. This is an integer which, like it's written here, between 0 and 50, and will basically show or defines how many search results were displayed. And what's actually very important for performing a search is the Q parameter, where you can put in like strings for what you want to search for. So now to start with a YouTube search, we create a request right here, and we call the service we created over here, the YouTube service, and we perform or we access the search resource and perform the list method on here. So it ends right here, and we input all these parameters. So the first parameter is the part. And like I told you, there you can contain, or you can input different different strings which are separated by a comma. So in this case, I put in the ID and the snippet, and this is our search term. In this case, I search for Finanzfluss, and I also say that I only want to have one result per page. And I'm looking for a channel. So type, you could also input video or a playlist or whatever, but I'm looking for a channel. And in order to execute the request, we will just simply go and put here the response equals to request.execute, and then we can print the response. And this is what we will get then. So this is in a JSON format. And I will show you in a second, or I can show you right now, if you import this JSON function, you can make this a little bit more pretty. So you can also you can read it more easily. So when looking at this looks pretty much the same as I showed you right here as this output. So this is what we get here. And like we ask here, we want to have the ID and the snippet. So this is over here and over here. And we can see, okay, we have the channel ID over here, we have the title, we have the description of the channel, and so on. So what we also can do is add our the fields parameter. This parameter simply reduces all the information we get here. So there's a lot of information that we actually don't want, for example, the kind or the e-tag or whatever. And by adding this fields parameter, we reduce the information we get to the things we actually want to get. So for example, as you can see here, I put in here, they're also separated with a comma, so also one large string. I include here the items ID, channel ID, which then would be here the ID, the channel ID, and then this would be the channel ID. But I will show you in a second, this makes it probably a lot easier. So it then looks like this. So you only get what you really requested. And in the JSON format, that actually even looks more pretty. So now we want to get some account info, and we basically do the same as we did before, but now we call not the search resource, but the channels resource. So I will show you in the documentation what we will get. So we will go here to channels and to overview. And we are interested in the statistics. So if we scroll down, here are the statistics. So we will get the view count, the subscriber count, and the video count. So this is what I included here in the part, so in statistics, and I use the channel ID, which we got here. So this is channel ID of Finanzfluss. And if we execute this, we will get this output. So as we can see here, Finanzfluss has around 900,000 subscribers, almost 450 videos, and over 96 million views, I think, if I counted correctly. So yeah, pretty impressive. So if we are now interested in the channel name, we can do the same as we did before, but we also have to include the snippet parameter here. So if we go to the documentation again, we can see that here in the output of this, of the channel, when we include the snippet, we will also get the title. So this is what we do right here. And we include the channel ID, and we got this from here. There is the channel ID, so we simply include the channel ID, what we also did here before, and then we print the response. So you see it's also quite unreadable. So what we can do is to also directly call the title. So if you look, this is a dictionary here. And then you have a list here and a dictionary again. So you call the items dictionary, then you go to the list, the snippet dictionary and the title dictionary, and if you execute this, you should get the title directly. So some of you have maybe recognized that in YouTube, in a playlist, you cannot see how long the playlist actually is. You can only see that there are 26 videos here, and it got over 1,000 views, but not how long the playlist actually is in time. And that's what we will do right now. And how do we do this? So we first want to have an overview of the playlist available on a certain channel. And therefore, we call the YouTube service and call the playlist resource. And we again use the list method. And we are also interested in the content details. As the content details down here, you can see includes the item count, so the number of videos in a playlist. And we will do this for the channel ID of Sasan because he is the host of the channel or of the playlist. So how do we get his channel ID? We will just go on here and click on his profile, and you see up here, this is his channel ID. So we just copy it and paste it in here. So I already did that, but Yeah, so then you will get, like I said, the item count, the number of videos in that playlist, and what is very important for us, the playlist ID. You could also just go to the playlist and yeah, get the playlist ID from here. So this is basically the same, but yeah, either way works. So once we figured out our playlist ID, we can continue. And I stored the playlist ID here in the variable playlist ID. And in the next step, we want to get the video IDs of each video in the playlist. And we do this by using the resource playlist items. And if we go to the documentation, this is a documentation of the playlist items. We can see in the JSON output that under content details, we get the video ID. And this is why in the part parameter, we include the content details. And we do this for the playlist ID, which I just declared here. And as we have 26 videos in that playlist, I just put the max results to 50, but 26 would work as well. And with that, we will get the following output. And you see, this is the YouTube playlist item. And now we have the video IDs for each video in that playlist. So next step would be to store all the video IDs in a list, and therefore I created here a list called video IDs, and I run a for loop. So for item in the playlist response, which is basically what we did in the step before, I just want to append all the video IDs. And this is what I did here. So I printed this output so you can see it over here. And now we got all video IDs in one list. So since we now have all the video IDs of the videos in the playlist, we actually want to have the playtime of the videos. And therefore we will access every certain video, and we do this by the video resource. So let's go to the documentation again. We go under videos and overview, and we can see here that we see on the content details, we see the duration. So this is a variable we are interested in, and I already did that here. So just for one example, this is for the first video to show you. I included the ID and the content details, and this is what we get as an output. And under content details duration, we got the playtime here. And this is in kind of weird format. So, but you can see it's playtime, probably PT is for playtime, is 1 hour, 57 minutes and 40 seconds. So we got it here, but we have to transform this in in an integer number or in a date time format. And that's why I used regular expressions in the next step over here. So first I set the duration, the total duration to 0. And then I defined the hours pattern. So I want every numbers before the H and as the hours. I want every numbers before the M as the minutes pattern, and every numbers before the S as the seconds pattern. And then I run this for every video in the list of video IDs. And I'm accessing here the video duration of each video. So this is like we did before. So we go into the code, what we get here, into the JSON format code, and go to items, and then we go to 0, to content details, and then to duration, and get this. And yeah, with this code, I don't want to go too much into detail on that, but with this code, I transform this this output here to a datetime format, and by duration, which I declared in the beginning, I add every second, or like the total seconds of every video, to the total duration, and then we will get in total that the playlist is about 17 hours, 2 minutes and 24 seconds. So in the next step, we want to get the comments of a video. And in the first step, we will do this without the next page. So what does it mean? The max result variable here is limited to 50. So we can only get 50 comments per page in that case. So if we want to have more than 50 comments, we have to go to the next page, which I will explain in the next step. But for now, we are only interested in the first three results. So how do we get the comments? I first created a comment list, and I then called the YouTube service and used the comment threads resource. So some of you may wonder now why I didn't use the resource comments, but comment threads. And the reason is that when going to the documentation, you can see that the comments resource contains information about a single YouTube comment. So, but we are interested in the whole comment section or the whole comment thread. So if we go down to the output, this is what we get when we call the comment threads resource. And we are then interested in the top level comment. So this is the first comment. As you know, there can be replies to comments, but we are only interested in the top level comment here. So if we click on this, we see that the top level comment is a comment resource itself. So we still need the comment resource here. It's maybe a little bit confusing, but I think you will get it in the next step. So when going to the comments resource back again, we look at the output here. We are interested in the text display. So this is a variable of interest where the actual comment is stored in. So what does it mean? So if you look on the fields which we want to have here, you see that we have the snippet where the top level comment is in, and then I call the snippet again. And this snippet is the snippet of the comment itself. This is the snippet of the comment thread, and this is a snippet of the individual comment. And then here we get the text display. Exactly, and here I do just a simple for loop where I append all the text displays in the comment list, and this is what we get for the comments of Nyan Cat. So yeah, these are the most liked comments because I ordered it here by relevance. You could also order it by time, and then you would get slightly or probably way different yeah, comment results. So like I said earlier, this max results parameter here is limited to 50. So in case you want to get video or get the comment section of videos that have more than 50 comments, you have to work with those next page tokens or with page tokens, because then you get more pages or several pages which with each 50 comments. So how does it work? Therefore, we go to the comment threads, and when we work with the list method, we go down to the output or to the what we receive here, and we see that there is a parameter called next page token. And in case there's a next page, so in case there are more than 50 comments in this case, we will get a next page token, which is like kind of like an address of the next page. And when we scroll up to the parameters of this comment thread list, then we see that we can also input a page token here. So, and in this page token, we can basically input the next page token, so yeah, that we directly go to the next page. And this is what I did here. So, for example, in this example with this video ID, I took the video of the Git presentation here, which has one comment. So now you can see how this works. In the field section, I also asked for the next page token, but in the output, you can see that there's only the comment, but no next page token. This is because there is no next page, because one is smaller than 50. So when I take this video here, I will just copy this ID, and as you can see, this video has like 445 comments, and I input this over here and run this code. then you can see that the very first thing we get here is the next page token. And this next page token is basically the address of the next 50 comments. And in this code here, I say while, first I say that the next page token is none, so we access the first page. And I say while true, so until there is no next page token, run this code. And once we've stored all the comments with this for loop again, like we did earlier, in this comments list, say that the next page token equals the next page token we get here. So then we rerun this line here, but this time with a page token of the next page token. And we do this until there is no next page token anymore. And then you can see that we get a very long output here. And I can also show you this in a little more straightforward way, where I only show you the comments list. So we get the length of this list is 159, which is less than those 445. But I think this is due to the reason that in this 445 comments are also included like replies, which we do not cover here since we only ask for the top level comment here. But as you can see, this is the list with all the comments. And the first comment here is how to find the best allocations to buy before 100x. And if we go here to the comment section, you can see that this is basically this comment. So this code works. And yes, so this is how you get like all the comments of one YouTube video. So let's go to the part where we get the subtitles of a YouTube video. And I think it should also be possible with a YouTube APA, which we were using so far. But however, I found it somehow complicated. And that's why I found a different library here or a different API. And I just installed it here. You can, I won't do it again here because I already did it, but you can just go ahead. And I imported the YouTube transcript API function. And it's really straightforward to use. So in this case, I just used the function or the command get transcript, and I put in here the video ID. And this video ID is the video ID of our first DAFA section here, DAFA session. So I just put it in here, and I printed the subtitles. So you can see that this is also in JSON format. It's a little bit weird. You have like the text, you have the start, the duration of the subtitles, and so on. And therefore, I wrote this line of code where you, to make it more readable. And if you execute all that, you get like a really nice, like a text of, with all subtitles from that video. So that was really straightforward, I think. All right, so like I said in the beginning, I prepared a very small use case, which is about whether Microsoft or Apple stocks are more discussed on YouTube. And I measure this by the duration of videos, the views on the videos, the likes, and the comments. So this is not really a meaningful analysis, but I just want to make, I just wanted to present how something like this could work. It is also not really meaningful because I limit the results here on 50 or 250, but never mind. It's just to present you how something could work. So how do we do this? So we are interested in the first 50 videos which appear for the search term Apple stock or Microsoft stock. We are interested in the videos, not in channels or playlists or whatever. But we want to order it by relevance. And like I said, we are interested in the video ID. That's why I included this fields equals video ID. To store the results, I created two dictionaries, one for Apple and one for Microsoft, which basically stores the ID with the corresponding duration, views, likes, and comments. And then I created a function which runs through all of those Apple video IDs which we created here, which with this request. So for item in Apple items, make a new request, and this one is actually for the videos. And we want again a list with the parts of statistics and content details, but from the content details we only want the duration. However, from the statistics, we want to have the view count, the like count, and the comment count, and we store this in the corresponding like variable, so to say. And this try and accept function means basically, so we only want to have videos in our data frame which have information on all these. So if there's like a video without any comments, we don't want to include this in our analysis. So we do the same for Apple here and for Microsoft here. So this is the exact same code. And to show you how this looks, I printed here the dictionary of Apple. So we first have here our IDs for all the different for all the 50 videos. Then we have the playtime here. It starts here, duration. Then we have the view count, which is here. Then somewhere the likes over here and the comments. And we do this for both Apple and Microsoft. And then I created a CSV file for pandas, or I exported this as a CSV so I can read it as a pandas data frame. And just to show you how the data frame then looks, I printed it here for Apple. So we have the duration here, the views, the likes, and the comments. And yeah, you see that the duration is again in this weird time format. So I basically copied the code from before. So this is the same what we did before with the regex here to format the duration here. I did this for Apple and for Microsoft. And yeah, so these are the results here. So you can see, or like the first one is for Apple. You see that the video length of Apple stocks videos are on average 307 seconds and have 25,000 likes. So when we first compare the duration, we see that the Microsoft videos are much longer, but the videos for Apple stocks have much more views. So here are 25,000, here are 17,000. The Microsoft views, however, have a little bit more likes, like on average 100 likes more, or a little bit more, and also more comments. So yeah, like I said, I'm not quite sure whether you can really take some information or some analysis from this, but this is how yeah, something like this could work. All right, so I think that is everything from my side. In case you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And yeah, have a good evening.